Hey everybody, I'm at MMEA 2024 here at the Schmidt Music Stand, music booth. I just got done playing with Winona State University. They did a couple of my pieces, and hey, let's talk saxophone.
Hey everybody, it's Zach from the Schmidt Music Saxophone Shop. I'm joined with Derek Brown. You just heard him play. We're hanging out at the MMEA Minnesota Music Educators Association Convention. You just got done playing with the Winona State Ensemble. They played a couple of your pieces that you wrote. That was super cool. If you haven't had a chance, is there recordings on the internet where they can go and listen? One of them was a world premiere today, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was an arrangement of a piece that I've done in other forms.
Okay.
Human Error. You can hear a jazz band version of that online.
Okay.
And that piece, that started as a jazz combo piece, then it turned into a solo sax piece, then it turned into a sax ensemble piece, then a jazz ensemble piece, and then today, for the first time, a concert piece.
Do you have a favorite arrangement of it?
Oh, gee. The one I just played.
Yeah. It was good. It was full. It seemed like the band was like into it.
I mean, it's with so much of like what inspires me to, even with my solo sax stuff, it's just like, how much sound can I get out of one sax? And so when I play with a full band, it's like, that's what I'm going for on just this, but that's fun to get to hear kind of as far as my imagination can go.
Yeah. Well, something I wanted to kind of hop into is, for a long time, you were really performing pretty strictly. I'm sure you probably had a few private students here and there, but you were primarily performing, yeah?
Yeah.
And then recently you've switched to education and composition. You have an etude book out that kind of explores extended saxophone technique and cool sounds. If you want to check that out, we can put a link in the description
Beatbox
below.
sax etudes.
Yeah.
All ages, all levels, check it out.
Yeah.
Each etude introduces a new technique, and it starts beginner to advanced. Gives away all my secrets. So don't tell too many people about it.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's like kind of a step into education in the saxophone realm, but now you've kind of gotten into composition as a whole, and jazz band and band. How and why did you start to make that transition?
2 words, 3 words, midlife crisis.
Midlife crisis.
Yes, so big secret here, I just turned 40. You're not supposed to say that stuff on social media. 'Cause then they'll kick me out maybe. But no, the pandemic, it did a number on me. A lot of us creative types, you were either like super inspired, and you like wrote all these new albums, or you were totally uninspired. And I think because I'm so used to playing
for people.
And the instant gratification of the audience. And so when that was gone, I was just getting sick of myself.
Yeah.
And I needed new inspirations. And so that's why I was like, maybe I should go back to school. And I was thinking, I have not at all mastered the saxophone or jazz or classical, but it was just like, I kind of want to just like explore a new avenue.
Yeah.
And I never really even thought of myself as a composer, but it was like, I guess all these solo sax things that I've written I composed them. I just, didn't use
you don't
that
think
word.
about it if you don't like write it down.
Yeah, I like the word
sometimes.
musician, you know. And so it was like, well, maybe, I don't know, maybe a place would be interested. And then here I am at University of Southern California. They accepted me into their doctoral program.
Yeah.
I'll admit, every 2 days, I'm like, they made a mistake. What am I doing here? If only if they're going to find out that I don't know what I'm doing. But they I guess they saw something in me, some unique thing that I like to do, and so like one of the pieces that I wrote for Winona, it's called Breakdown. I'll admit, when they first commissioned me to do this piece, I was just thinking like, okay, I want this to sound like a nice band piece.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't satisfied. It's like, it wasn't me. And not until I went around and started actually borrowing and sometimes buying instruments, sometimes pawn shops, sometimes other places. I should have gone to Schmidt Music to get my instruments. But I was in California, otherwise I would have.
Yeah.
And when I got my hands on them, I was like, okay, I'm learning how to play the trombone, but what happens if you take the slide out? You blow into it like a bottle top, and then if you and I was just like a kid in a toy store, and just like that's the stuff that excites me. And when I'm just sitting at a computer, and I love MuseScore and all these things, but I'm not inspired as when I get my hands on an actual instrument, and that's when it comes alive. And so then it was like, I have no idea what the teachers are going to think there. This is silly stuff. I'm just doing I'm having the band beatbox practically. Yeah. But they were like, whoa, we've never heard something like this. And I don't know if it's any good, but I certainly had fun making it, and I hope that the students enjoyed playing it.
Yeah. It's always an interesting thing of like, are they learning from it? But also like, music is supposed to be fun, and like, you can learn and have fun at the same time.
Ideally, yes.
Yeah.
And let me tell one story about this kind of idea, because before I was writing the band piece, I remember doing a clinic. I think it was Staples. Is that in Wisconsin? That's Wisconsin. Never mind. Is it Wisconsin? Which state is it?
We're looking at Derek behind the camera.
Midwest.
Edit that part out.
Yeah, let's.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's Minnesota.
Okay.
It's a hybrid school district.
Okay.
Multiple.
So I was at this school, Staples Motley, and I was doing a clinic with their sax section in the middle school. That's dangerous, telling some of these middle school players how to make sounds like. And I taught them how to make that sound, and that's not a super difficult sound. And when I left, it was kind of like, was that a good idea? And then the next day I got a text from the band director, and it was a video, and I knew what it was going to be. And it was all of his sax students just sounding like chickens. And he just wrote one word, thanks, period. But then he sent another text and said, you know what? They actually took their horns home and practiced this.
Yeah.
And so I was like, there you go. And then the next day he sent me another text, and it was of some 7th grader who had wrote a piece using that technique. And I was like, hey, some of these things might annoy some band directors, or we don't all love every genre, but if it gets some kid to be excited about taking their horn home and practicing, that's cool for me.
Whatever gets the instrument out of the case is what a kid should be doing.
Yep. And that's what it takes from me, is to make interesting sounds.
And if they can get to an age, it's usually, I feel like 9th or 10th grade, where they're like, oh, I enjoy playing this, and I'm smart enough to start kind of putting all of it together. And for a lot of young kids, it's just like, if you can get to 9th or 10th grade, that's where it really starts to take off.
I can see that.
So making all these fun sounds and just enjoying playing your instrument, I think is so important for developing musicians. So it's cool that you're doing that stuff. Something I'd be curious to hear about is, how has your composition style changed since starting your doctorate degree? Because I'm sure in your mind you already had all these ideas of how songs would sound and arrangements, but how has that changed with some proper college writing techniques? Because you're studying with Frank.
I studied his last year with Frank Kelly. This was last year, my first year.
Okay.
And now I'm with actually kind of an avant-garde free jazz poet, Kame Ayewa, who has gotten me really to think about music differently. It's been such a wild ride these 2 years that I've been at USC. Because on one hand, I've learned so many things that I'm not good at. And at age 40, I was struggling with feeling like, man, maybe you can't teach an old dog new tricks. But more now, I'm just realizing I'm kind of stubborn in my ways. And I've kind of always been that way. And for me, that's it's a good and a bad thing to be stubborn about music, because yeah, you have to stretch and you have to learn new stuff, and that's why I went back to school, is to get inspired by new things. But also sometimes you have your own voice that's unique to you, and you don't want to lose that. And I think a lot of people do lose that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think they could. I think I've lost my way in various past places that I've been where I'm trying to be someone that I'm not.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's all about, soaking in as much, absorbing as you can. So for me, it was classical and jazz when I was younger, and pop. And then once you are kind of more on your own, or when you're more mature, then it's like, now that you've kind of experienced stuff, do what you want to do, not anybody else.
Yeah.
And so there was a time where it was like I had a full-time teaching job at Abilene Christian University. This was right after grad school, a long time ago. And so I already was paying the bills. I had a great job, and I was like, I don't even have to play this instrument right now. And that was actually the best thing for me, because it was like, if I am going to play, I'm not going to play like that guy wanted me to, or that. If I want to obsess over slap tonguing and double thing for 6 hours a day, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to love it. Don't get me wrong, I'm so glad I had all those private lessons to learn the fundamentals and whatnot. But it's when you can put those all together in a way that's 100% true to you. That's how I kind of found my way. And so I'm struggling with that again in school, of learning new things. But then, what is my voice?
Yeah.
What is the unique thing that I?
You're almost like starting over in a new path of like composing and writing music and getting trained the proper way, but also having your own ideas.
Yeah.
I see this with a lot of young musicians that they can just play the snot out of their instrument. It's like their technique is amazing, and it's and then I just can't wait to see them after college when it's they start finding their voices. For me, I feel like it took probably 4 or 5 years after college before I was finally oh, this is my sound.
Yeah,
this is how it's supposed to be.
I was 30 when I kind of realized that.
Yeah.
I'm still learning that. But
it's interesting because you're well, my professor didn't want me to sound like that, and my technique is a little maybe weird compared to how they wanted me to play, but it is authentically my sound, and that's distinguishable. And you have a sound, and certain composers, you can just tell oh, that's this composer for sure. They write like this, and they write like that.
Yeah, that's always a sign of they've done something right. When you can tell what their piece is. You can tell, oh, I know who that is.
Yeah. People like Frank Kelly and Eric Whitaker. It's just they're just both have their own unique style, and there's not really a lot of people doing what they do, which is unique, and they're just very popular. They're very popular composers. I think probably anyone in the music world knows those two names. Well, this is an interesting one, and I feel like there's probably a lot of people who struggle with the balance of having a career and or you want to be performing at night, or having your creative time writing music or performing, having a job, and having a social life or a family. And add on top of it, add on top of it going to school at the same time and having all of that homework too. How does that balance shake out for you?
Let me know when you figure it out.
Yeah. I was hoping you would have the answer.
Because I'm a father of now 2 little boys, and full-time DMA at USC, trying to hold on to my performing career. Trying to still gig a little bit, but writing music. And I'll be honest, I often feel behind on so many things. But I've heard this so many times from other parents of saying you become so focused in your practice time because you have to. Yeah. I think that even happens in college, where it's wow, I have so many classes. I have 2 hours to do everything, and so it's just what do? You get better at actually writing stuff down that you want to work on, recording yourself, just making stuff happen. So that's been true more than ever. And it's all about priorities, you know, because I say that one of the biggest things I ever did for my career was between semesters of my freshman year of college, when I had my Nintendo GameCube. I brought it home for Christmas break because I can't be home without it. Everybody's playing video games at the dorm, and I was too. And then when it was the end of Christmas break, and I was first I noticed the best players at the school, they were just in the practice room all the time. That's all it was. It was 100% directly related to that. And so I was like, what if I left, I hate saying it, what if I left this Nintendo here and just turned those 3 or 4 hours a day into practicing? And I did, and I haven't looked back. Now, that being said, you have to have a hobby. You know, what is your hobby? My hobby is like movies sometimes, but it's where are your priorities, wherever you spend the most time. If you want to do, if you're serious about music, you got to do that. Because I've said it to many people, I am a very slow learner, and so, but it doesn't matter as long as I just put in the time. And you stick with it. If you can sustain it, just do a little bit every day.
The results happen so close to the end, which is the hard part for a lot of people, is you don't really feel like you're making any ground until you're like 85% of the way there.
Yeah, you got to believe in the process and just know. But for the young people out there, like high school, most people are not, they don't have the focus to do one instrument day after day. So literally, if you can just play your instrument every day, you will be a star in your high school band. Same thing with sports. Like if you practice free throws just 5 minutes every day, you're going to be the star free throw player in your band. It doesn't mean you're going to go pro. To go pro, you have to do the 6 hours a day. And I even didn't learn the 5 hours a day until I got to college. So don't feel like, I don't want middle schoolers in 6th grade thinking, he said I have to do 6 hours a day, I quit. No, that was like when I was in college, I was like, this is what I want to do the rest of my life. That was when I got serious. Now the challenge is I can't do 6 hours a day. So what am I focusing on? I have to be extra focused.
And this kind of ties into my last question of, and I ask everybody who I sit down and do interviews with, how do you define your own success? And how has that changed for you over time?
It has changed. When I was younger, it was about, when I was first starting, it was about impressing people. So I want to play faster, louder, I just want to impress people, and then it became more, you know what, I want to do this for me, I want to see how far I can go, see how much I can learn. And then there was a period where I'll admit, it was like, what hasn't been done before? What can I add? And it was all about just only doing something new. There's still a part of that for me where if there's an avenue that I think hasn't been really explored, I'm excited to go in that because I'm interested to contribute to the conversation, add something new, even though what really is new, we're all just doing different combinations of things. But I would say later in life, hopefully it's not late in life, it's all been about just living a good life, being happy, being happy with the people I love, make sure they're happy. So with the busyness, it's hanging out with my kids on the weekend, putting the music aside, and then hopefully that's not a sacrifice of the music. Hopefully that informs the music, and that makes me that much, because I've had lots of times where I've had the whole summer with free time and I'm unmotivated, like during the pandemic, and I couldn't do anything because I was unmotivated. I've lost my way. And so hopefully if you can find those priorities that make you shine and tick, even if they're not music, that will inspire the rest of your life, and you'll just be the whole package.
Well, it's interesting that saxophone has been your passion for so long, but now you're kind of taking the things that you love about saxophone and bringing it to a new dimension. And it's for a lot of people, I taught middle school for 5 years and then ended up throwing in the towel and focusing in on something else. It is never, I was gonna say, it is never losing to give up and move on to something new that inspires you more. And I think for a lot of young kids that go to music school and you're just on the grind every day, that is where you're learning all the great skills and you're putting in the hard work. It's okay if that performance path, isn't it? It might be education, it might be doing stuff like this.
Or the performance path might be a little bit later down the road. For me, I taught 6 years full-time at a college before my performing career. And without that, if I had moved right to New York City after grad school, there's no way I'd still be performing. Because I'd just be trying to do the traditional jazz thing like everybody else, and I can't cut it in the traditional jazz world. I can hang, but I'm not. You have to be 5 best in the world to get noticed. I didn't have my voice at that time. I needed a full-time day job that paid the bills, that gave me the ability to relax and play in the evenings, like I said, play exactly what I wanted to. And that was when I grew the most. And that was when this could be a thing. And then after 6 years of that, it was like, maybe I can move to Chicago and I can try this full time and see if it works. And so I've even wondered, should I go through that shift again when I was in the pandemic and things were running dry? That's what I need to change my surroundings up. I need new inspiration. I was running dry again. And I think if I hadn't gone to school, I might be doing something completely different. So this is kind of helping me find new life. Now going forward, you might see me on a different instrument. You might see me change. I don't know. There's some changes in the works where I'm experimenting. I'll never give this thing up, but it's, we all got to find our passion, and there's new stuff I'm exploring, and so
well, that's
wild
awesome.
ride.
I was going to ask you if there was anything you can sneak peek, but I think you
I
kind of
can't
just
right now.
I think you kind of just leaked a little. Yeah, that's awesome. Well,
give me like 20 years to work on this. I need another 6 years.
We're gonna come back. I'll put it in my calendar. 20 years.
Please. No, it'll be cool if I can stick with it.
It'll be like Derek Brown played saxophone.
Make them forget.
Nice. Well, I appreciate you sitting down and hanging out and talking. I hope that you guys enjoyed listening. If you have any questions for Derek, feel free to leave them in the comment below, and we can get in touch with you if you have any questions. Do you have anything you'd like to say?
No, just visit DerekBrownSax.com. Lots of music, videos, and then check out that Etude book. I think it's a game changer in the sense of what I've done. I put out a lot of solo sheet music that's really advanced. This is my first time where it's like ground up. This is what I do piece by piece. So check it out.
Well, that's cool. Sweet. Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.
See ya.